We are in the midst of a series that we are calling, if you know what it is, let me hear you say it. What is the name of our series? It is Bible Stories. Bible Stories. We are looking at 4 particular stories from the Bible, and really, how do they relate to us? But more importantly, what is God saying to us through these particular stories? Because when you read the Bible, one of the first things that you have to understand is this, that the people in the Bible are not the heroes in the Bible. God is the hero throughout all of it, and he's the hero in our lives. But what God does do is he chooses to use people just like you and me, broken people, sinful people, people that go have the highs and lows of life. He uses all of us to write his story in our lives. And so we're going to look at, if you've been with us over the past few weeks, week 1, we looked at the story of Joseph. And then we learned how God he has a plan for every person's life. Then we looked at the story of Esther, about how God is behind the scenes, but he's always in control. Even if you don't see God working in your life, he always is. Last week, we learned about the story of Abraham and how God is a promise keeper. And that even if you are unfaithful, God is still faithful to his promises in our lives. Today, we're going to look at a story that may not be as familiar to you as some of the other ones. If you grew up in church, if you didn't grow up in church, don't worry. We are retelling these stories in a more, putting a modern twist on. We're not changing the stories. We're just bringing you into it, making it real life. It's just not words on a page, but these were real people like you and like me, okay? So today we're going to be looking at the story of Ruth. Everybody say Ruth. And we're specifically going to be looking at how God blesses obedience through the story of Ruth. All I've showed you all month are broken people. And I want you to know something. The woman we're going to read about today is a broken person. She was not a perfect person. She was sinful just like you and me. But what I've shown us every single week are people who, even in their unfaithfulness, God still showed up in their life. And that's what the thing about God. The word of God says this, is that even when we are faithless, he will remain faithful. Okay? I want you to know that. Even if you don't have faith, God is not going to change who he is. He's going to be faithful in your life. But there is something about being faithful. When you are faithful to God, guess what? He blesses obedience in your life. So we're going to look at some people that were not perfect, but that chose to follow after God, even though everyone else around them chose not to. And to show how in your life, if you will remain faithful to God, there are blessings that come with that. Amen? All right, so let's look at this. Let's start with actually, before we go into the book of Ruth, I want to take you to the previous books. So if you're looking in the books of the Bible, you have the 5 books they call the Torah. So it's Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. Then you got the book of Joshua. Then you have the book of Judges. Then right after the book of Judges is the book of Ruth. But in order to help us understand where we are with the story of Ruth, I need to take you back to the book of Judges. The last chapter and the last verse sets up everything that we need to know about the story of Ruth. So let's look at Judges chapter 21, verse 25. And here's what it says. It said, in those days, Israel had no king. All the people did whatever seemed right in their own eyes. In other words, anything went. If I thought it was good, I did it. If I don't care what you think. You do you, I'm going to do me. Does that sound very similar to maybe today? Today? One of the big things that I hear today that people say all over the world is they have this word called, it's a phrase, my truth. Anybody ever said that? Maybe you've said it or maybe you've heard it. Regardless if you said it, if you heard it, that phrase, my truth. Okay? Here's the thing about my truth. Okay? My truth is really my experience. Now that might be true. Okay? What happened to you has happened to you. I'm not saying that it didn't. But there's a difference between the truth and my truth. Right? My truth, I might say, you know what? 2 plus 2, sometimes, y'all, is 2. Sometimes. That's my truth. That's what I see in my life. But the truth is what? 2 plus 2 is what? But my truth is that it's 2. I know you say it's 4, but to me, it's 2. Y'all see the difference? So what was happening then is a lot like what's going on today is people were doing whatever they seemed right. What they thought was right, that's what they did. If I think that it's okay for me to hurt somebody else, I don't care what you think. That's what I'm going to do. That's what was going on at this particular time. Now, look, it says that in those days, Israel had no king. That meant they didn't have a person that was king, but their actual king was supposed to be God. But they didn't want that. They wanted to be like everybody else. They wanted a physical king. But God said, so what happened? They didn't have a king, and all the people did whatever seemed right in their own eyes. Okay? This is going to set up everything. Now, throughout this whole series, I haven't really read the entire story. We've kind of jumped around because it could be 13 chapters, 10 chapters, 15 chapters. But the book of Ruth is only 4 chapters. This is going to be one of the only times that I actually read just about the entire book of Ruth. We're going to go through it quickly, but it's important that we read through this story so that you can really understand what God is saying in your life. So we know people were doing whatever they wanted to do, right? So let's go to the book of Ruth. Let's look at this. Now, you'll see a lot of words on the screen. Stay with me. We're going someplace. Can everybody see that? You see that pretty well? Okay. In the days when judges ruled Israel. So if you go back to the book of Judges, there were different people that God was saying, hey, you lead these folks. But in the book of Judges, the reason that God had to send these folks is because consistently the people of God were not doing what God told them to do. And when they disobeyed, he said, listen, if y'all keep doing this, I'm going to send some other nations to come get you. If you follow me, I will protect you at all times. But what were the people doing, everybody? They were doing what? Their own thing. So that's what's going on. So the judges are ruling, and a severe famine came upon the land. So a man from Bethlehem in Judah left his home and went to live in the country of Moab. I'm going to talk about this in a second. Taking his wife and 2 sons with him. The man's name was Elimelech. Somebody say Elimelech. Elimelech. Y'all thought some of these names y'all heard was out there. But keep going. Let's keep going. And his wife's name was Naomi. Their 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion. They were Ephrathites from Bethlehem in the land of Judah. And when they reached Moab, we're going to talk about that in a second, they settled there. Then Elimelech died. Naomi was left with her 2 sons. The 2 sons married Moabite women. One woman was named Orpah. Does that sound familiar to anybody? That was actually where Oprah's mom got this name. She just spelled it differently. So Oprah actually came from Orpah. Let's keep reading. And the other, a woman named Ruth. Okay, so you had Orpah and Ruth who married Naomi's sons. But about 10 years later, both Mahlon and Chilion died. This left Naomi alone without her 2 sons or her husband. So the world is going crazy around them. She's lost her husband, and now she's lost both of her sons. This woman is grieving. So let's keep reading now. Go to the next one. I want to tell you about Moab, though. Moab was actually a group of people and a city that God said that those folks do not associate with them. They don't believe in me. Matter of fact, they will try to overwhelm you, so stay away from them. So it's interesting that Elimelech chose to take his family to a place that God actually told them not to go and not to associate with. Not only that, but his sons married Moabite women. The Moabites did not believe in God. They worshiped all kinds of other gods. And the reason that God didn't want them doing that was because he knew that his people were that they could be influenced. And if they went there and started getting around these Moabites, they would stop worshiping him and worship these Moabite gods. Okay? So you're already seeing that Elimelech led his family to a place that they shouldn't have been. So remember, I told you, even when we are unfaithful, God is always what? So even though they went to a place they shouldn't have gone, watch what God does in his faithfulness as we move on. Then Naomi heard in Moab that the Lord had blessed his people in Judah. That's where they were from, giving them good crops again. So Naomi and her daughters-in-law got ready to leave Moab to return to her homeland. with her two daughters-in-law, she set out from the place where she had been living. And they took the road that would lead them back to Judah. But on the way, Naomi said to her daughters-in-law, listen, y'all. Go back to your mother's homes. Go back to Moab. Go back there. Because you've never lived in Judah. We don't even speak the same. Y'all don't believe what we believe. Just go back to your mom's homes. Because you have to understand this is a totally different world. Don't think of American culture in the 21st century. This was at a time where if a woman's husband died, she was destitute. She had nothing. The man literally provided everything. Not the same in our culture today, but that's how it was at this particular time. So she's telling them, like, listen, I can't help you. My husband's gone. Your husbands are gone. Go back to your mother's home so at least your fathers can continue taking care of you and helping you. Because if you come with me, I'm going to be out here by myself. Elimelech left me a little bit, but I have nothing else. You understand? So she's telling him, listen, go back. And may the Lord reward your kindness to your husband, for your kindness to your husbands and to me. She's like, y'all been some good daughters-in-laws. I've heard some stories out there between a daughter-in-law, a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law. I've heard some stories out there, but this was a good one. This was a good relationship. May the God bless you. And may the Lord bless you with the security of another marriage. Basically just saying, look, y'all go get married. Go get married. Y'all still young. Get married again. Live your life, girls. Women. Then she kissed them goodbye and they all broke down and wept. This is real, y'all. No, they said, we want to go with you to your people. But Naomi replied, why should you go with me? Can I still give birth to other sons who will grow up and be your husband? She's like, listen, I know y'all want to come with me, but I ain't got nothing for you. I'm old. I can't have no more sons. And even if I do, y'all going to have to wait all these years for them to grow up. Just go back home. Next verse. No, return to your parents' home, for I'm too old. Even if it were possible and I were to get married, what would that do? Would you wait for them to grow up and marry somebody else? No, of course not, my daughters. There were things far more bitter for me than for you, because the Lord himself has raised his fist against me. She was upset. She's like, look, I don't know what's going on. She's grieving. My husband gone. My sons are gone. Maybe God is upset with me. I don't know. And again, they all wept together. Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye. So Orpah said, okay, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back home. But look at what Ruth did. But Ruth clung tightly to Naomi. Look, Naomi said to her, your sister-in-law has gone back to be with her people and to her what? Gods. They didn't believe the same thing, right? You should do the same. Go back. But Ruth replied, don't ask me to leave you and turn back. Wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you live, I will live. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. There was some way that Naomi was living that had impacted Ruth so much that she said, I don't want to go back to what I came from. The God you serve, that's who I want to be with. I want to roll with you. And what I want us to know in this particular thing is that what we're going to see after this is a point that I really want to drive home after this particular verses that are here. So watch what she goes on. She says, wherever you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord punish me severely if I allow anything but death to separate us. Man, she loved her mama-in-law. I'm going to die. I'm living where you live. When Naomi saw that Ruth was determined to go with her, she said nothing more. So Naomi returned to Moab, from Moab, accompanied by her daughter-in-law Ruth, the young Moabite woman. They arrived in Bethlehem in the late spring and the beginning of the barley harvest. This is important because we're going to get into that in just a moment. So what do we know? What do we know so far? Ruth was a Moabite, didn't believe in God, but the way Naomi lived had impacted her so much that she said, I'm going to follow the God that you serve. And what we're going to find in the rest of this story is a principle. It's not the whole point of this book, but it's a principle. And the principle is this, is that there is power in proximity. Somebody said, they say power in proximity. What do I mean by that? Because Ruth had been close to Naomi, she watched how she lived. She watched how Naomi lived. You've noticed, Orpah was like, yeah, I'm going to go back home, right? But I'm sure they saw the same Naomi. There was a way that Naomi lived that impacted Ruth so very much that it changed her life. And there was power connected into her being close to somebody who had a relationship with the true and living God. Can the same be said about us? If people were to look at our lives, would they say, hey, listen, what you believe, your faith, you living this out, that's real. I want that. Or are they thinking the opposite? Wait a minute, you a Christian? Psh, I didn't even know you was a Christian. When you get saved? When you start going to church? I had no idea. You? If that's the response people have towards us, you can't look at them. You got to look at yourself. Naomi lived this because both of her daughters-in-law could have been like, peace, we out. But there was something about the way Naomi lived and the God that she served that it impacted her so much. She said, I got to be there with you. Because remember, Ruth told them both, go serve your other gods. It wasn't like Naomi was like, please, y'all got to believe in the same God. She was like, listen, that's what y'all believe. You go live that life. I'm going back to serve the God that I serve. And Ruth was like, I'm coming too. And there was power in this connection that we're about to see. The question that I have for everybody, again, is the way that you're living your life, is there so much power in it that it's causing others to want to stay close to you? Not just to you, but to the God that you serve. If the answer is no, we've got to start making some changes in our life. If the answer is yes, guess what I want you to know? There's going to be some power that comes along with this and blessing that comes along with it. Amen? Let's keep reading. We're going someplace. Let's go. Let's keep reading. Now, they've gone back to Bethlehem. Now, there was a wealthy and influential man in Bethlehem named Boaz. Somebody say Boaz. That's right. It's a good, you got to find out. It's a good man right here, okay? So guess what, y'all? He wasn't just a good man. Brother had a little bit of money. And he was influential. So everybody knew who Boaz was, okay? Let's keep reading. Who was a relative of Naomi's husband, Elimelech. One day, Ruth, the Moabite woman, said, let me go out to the harvest fields and pick some stalks of grain left behind by anyone who is kind enough to let me do it. What you have to understand was that when they would have these stalks of grain, many times the Israelites weren't supposed to pick up what was left over. They were only supposed to, whatever was picked, that's what they ate. So she's like, we struggling so much that I just want to see if I can just, whatever's left over, I'm going to try to get that for us, mama. We going to eat something. We may not be feasting, but we're going to eat something. Okay? The scraps. That's what we're going to get. Okay? And then we go on. Naomi replied, all right, my daughter, go ahead. So Ruth went out to gather grain behind the harvesters. As it happened, she found herself working in a field that belonged to who? Boaz. Remember, brother got some money. All right? Influential. Relative of the father-in-law of Elimelech. While she was there, Boaz arrived from Bethlehem, greeted the harvesters. The Lord be with you. He's talking to all the people that work for him. What's good, y'all? God bless y'all. Y'all working hard today. Then Boaz asked the foreman, because Boaz gets there, he sees the workers working, and he sees somebody else. And he like, who is that woman over there? And she married? She go with somebody? Y'all know who she is? I ain't seen her around here before. Who is that? So Ruth caught Boaz's eye. Okay? Remember, there's power in proximity. If she would have never stayed with Naomi, Boaz would have never saw her. She would have never saw him. Let's keep reading. Watch what happens here next. The foreman replied, she's the young woman from Moab who came back with Naomi. In other words, hey, bro, she a Moabite. You don't want nothing to do with her, man. They don't believe what we believe. That's really what this is saying. She's from Moab. You know about them women over there in Moab, bro. They don't believe what we believe. They wilding over there. Okay? But she asked me this morning if she could gather some grain behind the harvesters. She's been hard at work ever since a few minutes, except for a few minutes to rest. Boaz went over there and said, listen, hey, listen, my daughter, hey, girl. See, if this was written in our language, that's what it said. It would have said like, hey, how you doing? Ma'am, hey. But in the Bible it says, listen, my daughter, stay right here with us. when you gather grain. Don't go to any other field. Stay right behind the young women working in my fields. See which part of the field they're harvesting, and then follow them. I have warned the young men not to treat you roughly, and when you are thirsty, help yourself to the water they have drawn from the well. In other words, hey, listen, you can stay around here as long as you want to. What you see, you can have some, girl. Don't go anywhere else. Don't go to them other fields and things like that, because I ain't trying to have these other brothers see you. You stay right here. If you want some water, they gonna get it for you. You follow the young women. I'm gonna make sure they ain't gonna be no cat calling. He went to his men like, don't y'all whistle at her. Don't y'all call her out of her name. Her name is Ruth. Everybody understand? We're gonna treat her with some respect. I see y'all out here. I know what y'all doing, ladies. Show up. Treat her with respect, okay? And Ruth fell at his feet and thanked him warmly. What have I done to deserve such kindness? I am only a foreigner. Thank you so much, Mr. Boaz. Praise God. See, this is when you read the Bible, when you slow down and you read it, you really can see what's going on here. Let's keep going, because we got to get through this whole book. We're almost there. It's only 4 chapters. Yes, I know. But I also know about everything you've done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband. So he's heard about this woman. Maybe he didn't see her, but he heard about, hey, y'all know Naomi came back. She's back in town. She brought her daughter-in-law. She's from Moab. But when he first saw her, he was like, who is that? And they were like, oh, that's the young Moab. He's like, oh, that's Naomi. Oh, okay. I didn't heard about her. So he's basically saying, like, I've been hearing about you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I heard you taking good care of her. You out here, because you know what I'm saying? You getting you some food for your mother-in-law. You taking good care of her. I see what you've done. Even, and look what he said. Ever since the death of your husband, I've heard about, I know what's going on, and I'm sorry. He is. He's being genuine. Keep reading. And I've heard how you left your father and mother in your own land to live here among complete strangers. You done left everybody that you know. You came here, you don't even know nobody but Naomi. I heard about that. May the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you've come to take refuge, reward you fully for what you've done. I hope. So he's basically saying, look, I heard about you. I just haven't heard about how you look, because I see how you look, girl. But I've heard about your character. I've heard how you are not just faithful to your mother-in-law, but you've also become faithful to God. So he's looking at not just her looks, he's looking at her faithfulness, her character. Your character will always go ahead of you. Your character will outshine the outer exterior. How is your character? Because you know what? You can be the most attractive person, but have the worst attitude, and everybody is going to know. You can be the wealthiest person, but the greediest person at the same time, because your character is going to speak for you. Ruth's character spoke for her. But that's not where it stopped, because Ruth then heard about Boaz too, and we're about to find out. I hope to continue to please you, sir, she replied. You have comforted me by speaking so kindly to me, even though I am not one of your workers. So she basically saying, like, game recognized game. You recognize my character. I see your character. You made sure these men treat me with respect. I see you, homeboy. And I like what I see. Stay with this. This is the Bible, y'all. You got to read it. At mealtime, so the day has gone on, Boaz called her, hey, come over here. Help yourself to some food. Girl, get whatever you want. If it's mine, it's yours. Now this brother right here, this is some good game. This is some good game. Stay with me though. Look at what he says. You can dip your bread in the sour wine. In other words, if this was today, you want lobster and shrimp, get you some lobster and shrimp, girl. You want some spinach and artichoke dip? Go ahead, get you some. You know what I'm saying? And so she sat with his harvesters, and Boaz gave her some roasted grain to eat. So he didn't just give her the grain. Look, I didn't prepare this for you, girl. Stay with me, okay? She ate all she wanted and still had some left. Oh, this woman ate good. This man is taking good care of her. Remember, let's go back, though. There is power in proximity. This doesn't happen if she goes back home. Because of the faithfulness of somebody else, you're seeing God do some things. You're seeing her character being the same. Her character's not shifting. And we're going to see what God does when you are faithful. Let's keep reading. We're almost there. When Ruth went back to work again, Boaz ordered his young men, let her gather the grain, write them up the sheaves without stopping her. Matter of fact, don't let her just pick up the scraps. Let her get whatever she wants. And pull out some of the heads of barley from the bundles and drop them off on purpose for her. Let her pick them up. Don't give her a hard time. So Ruth gathered the barley there all day, and when she beat out the grain that evening, it filled an entire basket. When I did some research on this, she basically had 50 pounds of grain. That's like a month's worth of grain she was able to pick up in one day because this man allowed her to do that, okay? She carried it back to town and showed it to her mother-in-law. Ruth also gave her the roasted grain that was left over from her meal. So here go Naomi. Where did you gather all this grain from? How you got all of this in one day? You stealing? Come on now. What you doing? You know how it is when somebody show up. I'm gonna take you. Hey, let's go eat. Where you get some money from? We always got questions for people. Where you going? You dressed up. Where you going? You got some little money. Where you get that money from? That's what she doing. How you go? Hold up now. What you doing out there, Ruth? Where did you work? Okay, I need to know where you were at. But may the Lord bless the one who helped you, because you couldn't have done this by yourself. This is a 1 month's work. So Ruth told her mother-in-law about the man whose field she had worked in. She said, the man I work with today is named what? Boaz. Let's keep going. May the Lord bless him. Woo! She told her daughter-in-law, he is showing kindness to you as well as to your dead husband. This man is actually one of our relatives and one of our family redeemers. Okay, let me help you understand this. This was a different time. Okay, different time. And at that time, when a man died, remember I told you, the woman was typically destitute. When it says family redeemer, that meant that there was another man that was connected to their family line that he could basically say, I'm going to make sure you're taken care of. You're going to be brought back into the family line. You're not going to be out there on your own. You're going to be brought. So she's saying, this guy right here is one of the men that can actually make sure that we're good. That we don't have to go out there and keep picking up the little stuff off the ground. We can actually live good again. All right? Then Ruth said, what's more, Boaz even told me to come back and stay with his harvests until the entire harvest is coming. Good. Naomi's like, oh, praise God. Do as he said, my daughter. Stay with his young women throughout the whole harvest. You might get harassed in the other fields, but you'll be safe with him. So Ruth worked alongside the other women in Boaz's field and gathered the grain with them until the end of the barley harvest. Then she continued working with them through the wheat harvest in early summer. So she's been with them spring and summer. She's been with them a few months. All the while, she lived with her mother-in-law. So remember, they're eating good now, but they're still on their own, trying to figure out life. Okay? Let's keep reading. Oh, did I mess something up? We good. Okay. One day, Naomi said to Ruth, my daughter, it's time that I found a permanent home for you. So time has passed. And she's like, listen, you've helped me. You've been taking care of me, but you're still young. You can get married again. I'm out here. I can't anymore, but you can. So, because remember, different time. Don't think about today. This is not today. This is a different time period, okay? So that you'll be provided for. Boaz is a close relative of ours. He's been kind by letting you gather the grain with his young women. Tonight, he will be winnowing barley at the threshing floor. Now, do as I tell you. So she's like, listen, I'm going to make sure we can get you a husband. Okay? She's like, listen, follow my plan. But that man, he's had his eye on you. He just ain't made a move yet. But we're going to find a way. Okay? Tonight, do as I tell you. Take a bath. Put on some perfume. Dress in your nicest clothes. I don't know why, and y'all forgive me for this. When I read this, I thought about that Johnny Gill song. Put on your red dress. I'm sorry, y'all. But this is what happens when I read the Bible. This is what y'all read it. I didn't make this up. Girl, go take you a bath, put on some perfume, put on your best clothes. Then go to the threshing floor, but don't let Boaz see you till he's finished eating and drinking. Be sure to notice where he lies down. Then go uncover his feet and lie down there. He will tell you what to do. Now, this part right here, it can seem kind of weird, but this is all custom. This was custom at that time. This is today. It's basically the same as, okay, you want to let him know that you are open to him courting you. That's what this means. Just cultural. That's all it is. Nothing weird about it. That's what he means. So let's keep going. So she did what she said. Keep going. Next verse. I will do everything you said. So she went, took a bath, got on the perfume, put on her dress, went down to the threshing floor, followed the instructions of her mother-in-law. After Boaz had finished eating and drinking, he was in good spirits. In other words, he was feeling real good. Had a full belly, had him a little bit. He was feeling good. All right? And he lay down at the far end of the pile of grain and went to sleep. Brother was like, I ain't going to make it home. Just going to sleep here. Then Ruth came quietly, uncovered his feet, and laid down. Around midnight, Boaz suddenly woke up and turned over and was surprised to find a woman laying there. Hey, hold up. Who are you? This ain't, no, whoa. You about to get me caught up out here. What's going on? Shh, it's me, your servant Ruth. Spread the corner of your covering over me, for you are my family redeemer. In other words, listen, Boaz, we out here. You can bring us back in here, okay? I'm letting you know, as you know, my husband is gone. I am available, and you're the one that I'm looking at. I know you've been noticing me, noticing you, and okay? You the one. Keep going. The Lord bless you, my daughter. In other words, I see you. I see you. Okay. You are showing even more family loyalty than you did before, for you have not gone after a younger man. So this brother was a little bit older. She could have went with the young guy, whether rich or poor. Now don't worry about a thing, my daughter. Don't worry. I will do what is necessary, for everyone in town knows you are a virtuous woman. What happened again? Her character went out ahead of her. Her character went out ahead of her. His character went out ahead of him. If both of them would have been out there wilding, this don't happen. Because what I'm trying to show you today is God blesses obedience. We've seen the unfaithfulness in other stories, but in this particular story, we're seeing people who are faithful to God and God rewarding their faithfulness. Okay? I will do what is necessary, for everyone knows you're a virtuous woman. Well, while it's true that I'm one of your family members, redeemers, there's actually someone who's actually more connected to you. So really, I'm not first in the pecking order. According to culture, there's somebody else that really is supposed to be your family redeemer. And if he's not, I'm the one. But so once again, here's a man that's being honorable, doing the right thing. Because he could have been like, I don't care about old boy. I'm feeling you. You feeling me. We're going to make that thing happen, girl. But he's an honorable man. And he says, I'm going to make sure that we do this the right way. Stay here tonight. In the morning, I will talk to him. If he's willing to redeem you, very well, let him marry you. But if he's not willing, then surely as the Lord lives, I will redeem you myself, girl. I will marry you. Now lie down here until the morning. Let's keep going. Let's stay with the story. So Ruth lay at Boaz's feet until the morning, but she got up before it was light enough for people to recognize her. So she got up out of there. She was like, I don't want everybody noticing I was here tonight. We're going to get up out of here. For Boaz had said, no one must know that a woman was here at the threshing floor. Then Boaz said to her, bring your cloak, spread it out. He measured 6 scoops of barley, placed it on her back, and returned. So basically, he sent her off with food. He's like, listen, I know y'all need some more food. I'm going to take care of you. So he goes to the town. When Ruth went back to her mother-in-law, she said, what happened? Ruth told Naomi everything Boaz had done for her. And she added, he gave me these 6 scoops of barley. Don't go back to your mother-in-law empty-handed. This is a good man. Then Naomi said to her, just be patient, my daughter, until we hear what happens. The man won't rest until he settled things today. So she knew Boaz's heart. This man going to make sure that we good. He going to make sure that you're taken care of. And if you're taken care of, I am too. We're almost done. We're heading to the last chapter. Here we go. Boaz went to the town gate, took a seat there. Then just then the family redeemer he had mentioned, the other man, came by. Boaz called out to him, "Come over here and sit down, my friend. I want to holler at you." So they talked together. Then Boaz called 10 leaders from the town and asked them to sit as witnesses. So again, honorable. He's doing this the right way. He has integrity. He could have gone and did this on the slide, on the low. Nobody got to know. But this is a man of integrity, faithfulness, doing the right thing. Let's keep going. And Boaz says to the family redeemer, "You know Naomi, who came back from Moab. She's selling the land that belonged to our relative Elimelech. I thought I should speak to you about it so you can redeem it if you wish. If you want the land, buy it here in the presence of these witnesses. But if you don't want it, let me know right away, because I'm next in line to redeem it after you." The man replied, "Cool, I'll redeem it." Because it wasn't just the fact of the women involved, it was everything that belonged to Elimelech he would actually have. So he was getting a family, he was also getting land. Okay? This is the customs. Let's keep going. Then Boaz told him, "Of course, your purchase of the land from Naomi also requires, though, it's not just the land, bro. You also got to marry Ruth, the Moabite woman." Okay? The Moabite widow. Now, it's interesting that he put that in there. The Moabite widow. Okay? Hey, she from Moab. But if you're going to do the right thing, bring her in. Okay? Bring her in. That way she can have children who will carry on her husband's name and keep the land in the family. And that was a big deal. It wasn't that he was going to continue his name. It was you actually continuing another man's line. So you got to understand that was a challenging thing for a man to hear. Like, so basically, if I marry her, she was married before? Because typically at that time, they didn't like doing that. They wanted to be married to one woman and one woman only. They didn't do all. So he was kind of like, she already been married? Oh, man. I can't redeem it then. He's like, "No, I'm out. The family redeemer replied, "Because this might endanger my own estate," meaning I already got my stuff and I want to have my own line. I ain't trying to continue somebody else's line. I want to have my own. You redeem it. I can't do it. Now, in those days, it was custom for Israel transferring any right to remove a sandal and hand it to the other party. This publicly validated the transaction. So the other family redeemer took off his sandal as he said to Boaz, "You buy the land." So basically said, deal done. The land is yours. Ruth is yours. Naomi, that whole family, you have them. Which was, in reality, that's what Boaz wanted anyway. But he was doing things the right way. The right way. So let's see what happens. Then Boaz said to the elders, "You are witnesses that today I have brought Naomi. I have bought from Naomi all the property of Elimelech, Kilion, and Mahlon, and with all the land I've required, Ruth, the Moabite widow of Mahlon, to be my wife. This way she can have a son to carry on the family name of her dead husband and to inherit the family property here in his hometown. You are all witnesses today." So this is a man that said, listen, yeah, I will have my own line, but I'm willing to continue another man's line because I love her. And it's the right thing to do. So again, you're seeing Naomi living for God the right way. You're seeing Ruth leaving her Moabite ways to follow after God, and her character spoke for her. You're seeing Boaz, who was doing things the right way, who served God and allowing his character to speak for him. You're seeing all of these things. And remember, this was also at a time when the people were doing what? Whatever they thought was right. But yet we see three people who are choosing to not do what they think is right, but what God thought was right. There's a big difference. Because all three of them, Naomi, Ruth, Boaz, they could have all been a little shysty, did all things a little bit alone. Nobody would ever have to know. But they all chose to say, you know what? Even though everybody else is doing whatever they want to do, we are going to do what God says to do. We're going to walk upright. We're going to do the right things. We're going to have character. And look at what happens. There's power in proximity. Ruth's life is not changed if she doesn't stay connected to someone who followed after God. Are there people whose lives could change if they stay connected to you? Are there people's lives that could change if you are living with character and integrity and living the right way? Or are we going to be people that do things on the low? Nobody got to know, but you know And God knows. And while God will still be faithful, and while God will still show up, even in your mess that we can create, there is something about what God will do when we remain faithful to him. When we choose to have character, when we choose to have integrity, God will bless, because that's who he is. Let's keep reading. So he did all of that. And the elders said, we are witnesses. May the Lord make this woman who's coming to your home like Rachel and Leah, from whom all the nations of Israel descended. May you prosper in Ephrathah and be famous in Bethlehem. May the Lord give your descendants about this one young woman who will be like those of our ancestors, Perez, the son of Tamar, and of Judah. And the next verse. So Boaz took Ruth into his home, and she became his wife, and he slept with her. And the Lord enabled her to become pregnant, and she gave birth to a son. Then the women of the town said, praise the Lord, who now has provided a redeemer for your family. May this child be famous in Israel. May he restore to you your youth and care for you in your old age. For he is the son of your daughter-in-law who loves you and has been better to you than 7 sons. Next verse. Look at this. Naomi took the baby, her little grandbaby, cuddled him to her breast, and she cared for him as if he were her own. The neighbor women said, now at last Naomi has a son again, and they named him Obed. Obed became the father of Jesse and the grandfather of David. Now, if you don't know who this is King David, the greatest king in all of Israel, came through a Moabite woman who initially didn't believe in God, but saw someone who did believe in God, followed after her God, and now she, who was not even part of God's family, she was not part of the Israelites. She was a Moabite, the despised people. But because she turned her heart towards God, God made Ruth the great-grandmother of King David. And if you continue following this family tree years and years and years, Jesus comes from the same line of Ruth. So let's wrap this all up as we get ready to go. One, I want you to see, here's Ruth, who was not connected to the family of God, but God brought her in. And then maybe those of you here today, you have not given your life to Jesus. But if you were to give your life to Jesus, God brings you into his family and he makes you new. He gives you a whole new life. He gives you a new character. He gives you a new way to live. And the blessings that come from that, this woman had no idea that when her husband died, that she was going to be one of the ancestors to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And you don't know what God will do through your obedience and your faithfulness. We saw 3 people who decided to be faithful to God, and God blessed them. Remember, Naomi was destitute, but she followed after God. And now she had a grandson, and she was taken care of. Ruth was faithful to God, had integrity. God blessed her with a husband. Now, I want everybody to understand this. Just because you're faithful to God doesn't mean everybody's called to be married. That's not what I'm saying. Okay, I want to make sure of that. What I'm telling you, though, is that blessings follow. The blessings that follow obedience aren't up to us. They're up to God. Because God is the hero. He blesses faithfulness. I don't get to decide what the blessings are. He does. You don't get to decide what the blessings are. He does. Okay? But he does bless when we are faithful. He'll bless even when you aren't faithful. But let me tell you something. You see through this story that when you are faithful, God will bless obedience. Before I get ready to close, there's one other part I wanted you all to see, because this is a love story. If you really think about it, it's a love story between Ruth and Boaz. But remember, Ruth, it's actually a love story between God and his people as well. But remember, Ruth wasn't living for God initially, but she chose to. Now, this is a funny clip that you're going to watch, about 2.5 minutes. Please don't get religious on me. Just, if it's funny, you can laugh. Because I know how we can be at church. Things are funny, we don't laugh in church. No, you can laugh. But I want you to see what happens when you are faithful. And if you're not faithful, you may not end up with your Boaz. You may not see your blessing. Because Boaz isn't just a husband or a wife. Boaz means a blessing that comes from obedience. So check out this video.
Ruth waited for her Boaz. She wouldn't just settle for anybody. The Bible said Boaz was a handsome man, a rich man, a spiritual man, a sensitive man, and that equals a husband. You got to wait. You got to wait on your Boaz. Don't just settle. But if you're not careful, when you go left and it's Friday night, you don't have a date and you're freaking out. I don't have a date. I didn't get married until I was 25. And I just made a decision. I knew there was a call on my life. And I just said, I'm not going to go out and date just anybody and everybody. Because I know me.
Do you know you?
Don't freak out because it's Friday night and you're in Saturday night and you're in church instead of the club.
Amen.
Boaz has some relatives, and if you don't watch it, you won't get the one God has for you. You'll get his relatives. To the girls, I found this on the internet. Boaz is spelled B-O-A-Z. Everybody say B-O-A-Z.
B-O-A-Z.
And so he's got some relatives called broke ass, po ass, lying ass, cheating ass, dumb ass, drunk ass. Don't go out with him. Cheap ass. Turn to somebody and say, I dated him. Locked up ass, good for nothing ass, lazy ass. And especially his third cousin beating your ass. Wait on your Boaz and make sure he respects your ass.
Amen.
Well, there's your word. You want a word? You got a word.
You wanted a word today?
Quit dating anything on two legs. Let God take you through some loneliness. Let God take you through the wilderness. So that when they come, you'll be ready.
Amen. And amen.
Almost.
So, I didn't think I could say it any better than Pastor Jensen Franklin. When you don't walk in faithfulness and you're not obedient, your blessing will look like Boaz's cousins. They aren't good. You'll end up in places and relationships with people that you shouldn't be with. Amen. But if you're faithful, the blessing is there. The last thing I wanted us to notice, Corey, you can go to the last slide there. Throughout this whole book, because it started with, at the time when everybody was doing what they thought was right, you had three people who said, I'm not going to do what I think is right. I'm going to do what God thinks is right. And what I want everybody to know is this, that even if everyone else follows the culture or their own way, you can follow God. And when you follow after him, I'm not saying life is going to be perfect. It won't be. In this life, you're going to face troubles. But in this life, more blessings will come because of obedience. God blesses obedience, faithfulness, character, integrity. Let's be those people. I know you could make that decision and nobody will know. But you'll know. And God will know. Let's live for him. We can do that. Amen? Amen. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for today. Thank you for this book of Ruth that we're seeing that God, you are a God who blesses obedience. And yes, there are times in our life when we are disobedient and you will still work all things together for the good of those who love you and according to your purposes. But God, we don't have to make the same mistakes that others made. We can walk in integrity. We don't have to lie. We don't have to steal. We don't have to have a negative way of thinking. We can have your way. We can get into your word and we can find out what your word says to us and we can choose to follow after you. Even though culture may say nobody will know if you do this on your taxes or if you steal a little bit here or if you lie a little bit here. We will know and you will know. So God, I pray that you will help us today to be people who follow after you even if everybody else is doing their own thing. Help us to do your thing. Your Chazown. your vision, your dream in our life. And I pray that as we take steps to be obedient, to walk as people of character, God, that they will see blessings in their life, that they will see peace that passes all understanding, that they will have hope even when it seems like everything around them is crumbling, that they will have joy even when in the midst of pain. God, that you'll bless them beyond their wildest comprehension as they are faithful to you, because your word says this: if we love you, we will obey your commandments. Help us today to live that out and obey you in Jesus' name. As we keep praying, every head bowed, every eye closed, I told you, Ruth was not someone that was connected to the family of God, but yet she made a decision that I will follow after God. And every person here, you can have that same experience and opportunity. Maybe you're living a life and you've never considered giving your life to Jesus. I want you to know what comes with following Jesus: blessings. Blessings. The Bible says that Jesus did not come, that Jesus came to give us life and that more abundantly. I want you to know this. I want you to know this: that when you give your life to Jesus, all of the sins of your past are wiped away. There you have hope. You don't become a better version of yourself. You become a brand new person. And there may be somebody today that, like Ruth, was brought into the family of God, that you need to be brought into the family of God. But you may think, I've done too much. No, there's nothing that you can do that will separate you from God's love. But if today you will give your life to Jesus, who is Jesus, the Son of God, who God sent to this world to live the life we couldn't live, sin-free, died a death that we should have died, became our sin, was placed in the tomb, and 3 days later he rose from the dead. And now anyone who believes in what Jesus did and who he is, you are made brand new. And you can have peace, joy, mercy, forgiveness, strength, because it's all found in Jesus. If today's the day you want to give your life to Jesus, just lift up your hand long enough for me to see you. If you're online, type in the comments, I want to give my life to Jesus. And we're going to all pray a prayer together, because no one prays alone. It's not this prayer that saves you, but it's the finished work of Jesus that does it. If you're ready today to give your life to Jesus, then repeat after me. Say, Heavenly Father, thank you for loving me. Thank you for sending Jesus to die for my sins. I believe he rose from the dead, and you've made me a new person. Thank you, God, for forgiving me. Thank you, God, for filling me with a new heart and a new mind. Teach me today to love others and to walk in integrity and to follow after you the rest of my life. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Come on, let's celebrate today, Chazown Church. Someone just went from darkness to light. They were lost, and now they are found in